Well, welcome to Swan Valley in the Yateley area, historic lake with lots of lovely big fat carp in it. I'm with Kev Hewitt and we've got 48 hours where we're going to be fishing, not against each other, having a little social. Some idiot has booked the lake and it's England are playing in the final, so I'm not too happy about that, but it is what it is, isn't it? So Kev's going to fish differently to me. We're going to have a look around. What are you thinking, Kev?
Well, we've had a look around, seen plenty of fish all over the place.
Everywhere, weren't they?
Pretty much in every swim, so
Yeah.
it's been difficult to sort of pin down exactly where we want to fish, but we've chosen some swims. Well, I've got an idea where we want to go.
Yep, so have I. And what's going to be interesting about these 40 hours is Kev fish is totally different to me, and it'd be great if we can both catch fish doing totally different things on such a lovely lake.
Yeah, my approach is completely different to yours. Something I'm confident in, a bit of particle fishing. You're a boilie man?
Yeah,
a bit of boilie fishing?
I'm just going to go straight out boilies, 18 millers, few liquids, you know, just normal rigs. And
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Looking forward to it. Should be good. Good social. So let's go and get sorted out, get a takeaway to go, and watch England later on.
Come on, England.
Come on, England.
Having spent some time walking around this morning, I've seen quite a lot of fizzing in front of this swim and a few fish were about, so I've decided to drop in here. And having not fished the lake and not knowing anything whatsoever about the lake at all, for me it's really important to get the marker rod and find some depths and find some features and see what's out in front of me, so I know what I'm fishing in basically. So I've started off, I've had a few casts around with just a lead. I've pretty quickly established it's fairly flat out there, around about 10.5–11 foot, and is quite soft and silty most areas, but I have found one particular spot at 11 wraps that's a lot harder than everything around it, and just a little proper nice little gravelly sort of drawback on the lead, so that's really interesting. That's a spot that I've decided that I'm going to sort of start by fishing and attacking the swim, so I'm going to put 2 rods on that spot. I'm not going to put 3 on it like I normally would, because I have got a third option which we'll talk about in a minute, but I'm going to put 2 on that spot at 11 wraps. I'm going to put a bit of bait in and just sit nice and patient. It is an area where the fish were fizzing this morning as well, so I feel like they have fed on that spot, and let's just hope that they do turn back up and have another feed on it at some point during this trip. And as I said, the third rod, I've got a nice little margin down to my right, lots of big overhanging trees, lots of snags leading all the way down into the corner of the lake, and I feel like that's got to be worth a rod. So my right hander, in a bit I'm going to have a wade down there, see if I can find a nice little clear spot somewhere that I can just tuck a rig under a tree, put a little bit of bait in and set a trap and see if we can nick a bite on that.
As soon as one starts taking, no, get your rod down, we're going to catch one off the back of it. Let him do all the hard work. Well, you know he fishes for England, don't you? Yeah, he's world champion. So he should catch 10 times more than us, shouldn't he? Right, so we've got Kev the Carp to my right. This morning when we was having a look around, I see fish out here. They were really fizzing up, really bubbling up. This is a swim called the Oaks. It's not a million miles away from Kev. I'm seeing his bait boat again going out there. What is this with the bait boat? It's cheating, Kev, it's cheating. Right, apart from that, see fish showing out here, fizzing up, and I'm going to fish a totally different way to Kev. Kev's gone 2 on the spot. I think he's using particles. I've gone 18mm Pro Stim. I've found a nice silty area out there, quite a large area, just the back of the gravel. I had a few pings out there, found a lot of gravel. Went a little bit further, found a nice seam of silt, and it just happens to be, measuring it all up with the trees and that, where the fish were fizzing up like mad this morning. So we're going to get 3 rigs out there. I'm fishing just basic braided rigs, wide gape hooks, 18mm bottom baits, straight out the bag, onto the area out there, and I'm going to spray a load of 18mm around it. Really easy fishing, because I know they're in the silt. This time of year, they're feeding in the naturals, in the boilies that go in the silt, anything that's in that silt, rather than the gravel. I know Kev's fishing the gravel, he's found a nice hard spot, so I'm going to do totally different rigs, totally different outlook, and it'd be really interesting to see who catches, or if we both catch. So, let's look forward to it. Thought we'd give you a little update, because literally 7 minutes time the England match is going to kick off against Spain. Nothing's happening, we don't want anything to happen, we don't want to catch anything, we just want to be catching them tomorrow morning and reeling the wind, don't we? What are you saying, Kev?
100%. What a night this could be, followed by a good morning, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I reckon it looks really good for a bite first thing in the morning. But what we're going to do is now we're going to say goodbye. We'll give you an update in the morning, because we're going to go and watch England beat Spain and take the European Championship.
Come on, England.
Come on.
Come on.
Well, football didn't go to plan. Fishing hasn't gone to plan this morning, although Kev next door lost one about 4 AM this morning. We all had the trailer about 2 o'clock in the morning, so it's not exactly going to plan. A little bit of fishing there, not as much as yesterday when we turned up, but there's still time yet to try and outwit one of these wary carp out of Swan Lake. Not thinking about moving. I was up early, I'm looking around, nothing to move on to. Just seems pretty like we're in the best place. Just got to try and convert one of these pig-ups into a fish and to get one on the bank, and to make what is a miserable day coming up with plenty of rain into a happy one with a fish in the net. So fingers crossed, me and Kev can put it right and put one on the bank for you.
Well, it's the morning after the night before. Bitter disappointment that England couldn't get over the line in the Euros finals. And I'll be honest, the fishing hasn't really been much better either. It's been pretty quiet, but I have had a bit of an occurrence. First of all, about 2 o'clock this morning, I just, on the baited spot, I just had a little twitchy take. It definitely wasn't a carp. There was something not quite right about it, and I've picked it up and there was nothing on the end. And then about 15 minutes later, my rod just tucked round the corner next to the snags. That's pulled, the bobbin's just pulled right up. I'm fishing locked up and the tip's pulled round. Picked the rod up, hit into it, and it's just bent over and just pinged out, and I've had a hook pull. So absolutely gutted on that one, you know, but on the positive, it was an opportunity. You know, I've had a bite, so I know that I've got a spot down there that can produce bites, so that's a positive. The rest of the morning, since it's got light, it's been pretty quiet. I did have a take on the bait again at 4 o'clock, just before it got light. Twitchy take. I knew it was a tench, and yes, it was a tench. So yeah, but since then I thought that I'd see maybe a bit of fizzing. I've been watching through the binoculars quite a bit to see if there's any fizzing over the bait, and there's just no signs of anything feeding out there this morning. Not a lot showing. I've seen a couple right over the far side just poke their heads out. So I'm going to see out the morning, sort of see what happens, and I may have to wind in and go looking to see if we can create an opportunity. Been pretty quiet this morning in my swim and in Leon's, and decided to go and have a little bit of a walk round, see what we can see. So I found a little area of the lake where it bottlenecks down into a little channel, and there's snags either side, and I've seen a few fish sort of cruising through in open water, a couple of fish on the near margin and a couple of fish just off the trees on the far margin. So definitely think I need to pack up and move is definitely on the cards right now.
Well, hasn't materialised here at the moment. Kev's going to move up there to the left of the guy who's had a few. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to stay for a couple more hours to see if we can try and nick one from the area, baited there. We've seen fish out there, fishing out there, definitely out there. And then, but the thing is, it'll be raining now non-stop. If Kev can nick one quickly, or they're still up there after he's cast out, I'll probably reel in and move up there a couple of hours' time. But there's not a lot of areas up there, so a bit of a team effort really. If he can nick one quickly, then I can go and poach one next to him at some point. So that's the plan.
Well, disappointingly, the morning is just fizzled out and just nothing has happened. It's been really dead. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to wind in and go and speak to Leon, and guess what? He was asleep, absolutely pushing out the Zeds. So whilst he's snoring, I thought I'd take the opportunity to have a good look around the lake. I've spent the last 2 hours walking around. I found a few fish in open water in a shallow area up the other side of, I think it's called Lake 2. A lot of small fish about up there. And I've come round to this bottleneck area, and I've seen fish here yesterday. And today, there's not so many fish here that I can see, but there are definitely a few fish about. And whilst I've been stood in here, I've just had a big common show, like literally 3 or 4 odd lengths out, just off the trees down to my right. So Also seen a couple of fish just shy of the far margin, just creeping around just below the surface off the edge of the trees. So it definitely knew a move had to be on the cards, and I've decided to drop in here. There is a little bit of fizzing where I saw that big common show, so I'm just going to drop a bag in down to the right off the trees, a bag in down to the left off the trees. Both areas I've seen fish, and I'm just debating whether to get the bait boat out and just drop one under the trees on the far side. I've been round the far side and had a look, and it's nice and clear under the canopies, and you can tuck a rig underneath there with the bait boat. So I'm thinking that I might well just put the third rod under the far side. But definitely looks more promising in this swim. There's a few fish about. It's going to be tricky to get a bite, but you know, I think there's a better chance here than the swim I was in. So let's get these rods out and see if we can get a bite.
Well, there you go, £29.2 of Swan Valley Mirror, an old warrior. Just when we thought I was half packed up to have a move with Kev down the other end, where he's found some fish, the rod absolutely melted off the left-hand rod. 18mm bait over a spread of baits, old school tactic. It's come good in the end, hasn't it? And we've still got another night left yet, so we may get some more. They're still fizzing on the spot. So I'm going to get her or him back and see if we can catch another one. So I want to be a bit greedy. So yeah, nice to see an old warrior like this. Hopefully Kev can nick one there as well. Oh, baby. Right, just put that stupendous fish back, and rather than what most people do, rebait it, re-rig it, wrap it up, bang it straight back out in the spot, all eager that you might get another bite, I can see fish are fizzing up around about the same areas, a few on top around there. So what I'm going to do is, I've got the other two rods on the same area that we baited up yesterday. I'm not going to put this out to this evening now, because sometimes you get that bonus fish for just leaving the rods out there that are already out there, especially if you're fishing the same sort of area on the same spot. Many times over the years, I thought, no, I've got rods on the spot, I'm just going to leave them, and it's produced a bonus fish. So a little tip there for you, don't always be so eager to get back out there, especially if you've got rods in the area. Right, fortunately we caught a real nice mirror from here, and I thought it was about time that, while it's got a little bit quieter, to actually go through the bait that I'm using and the liquids that I'm using, because it's quite important what I'm doing with it, which is a bit out of the box, so to speak. 18mm Pro Stim Liver, great bait in its own. Most people use them in size 15s. I've gone totally the opposite way, and I'm using size 18, which to start is a little bit different to everybody else. Fish don't really come across it very much. Deep silty area I'm fishing just cried out boilie to me, especially big boilies as well. What I do to give myself an edge, because every single different bait goes in here, everyone tries everything, to give myself that edge, I'm mixing two different liquids together. First one, which complements the Pro Stim Liver, is the Pro Stim Liver Bait Booster. It's got all those attractors that draw the fish in, which make that Pro Stim Liver a great bait. Very heavy, so it tends to stick on the bottom of the lake bed, infuses in the lake bed. When the fish come along, kick it up, that's when they get all those attractors in the liquid, which draws them onto the baited area. I mix that 50-50 with an old school liquid, salmon oil, pure salmon oil. Now this floats as it's an oil, so you mix the two together, a heavy liquid and a light liquid, and it becomes very viscous, soaks into those boilies really well. I tend to mix the two liquids together, pour them onto the boilies 24 hours, 48 hours before, and you can do it with freezer baits or shelf life baits. It really doesn't matter. It still sucks it in because it's such a thin liquid, because you're using the salmon oil to make the Pro Stim Liver Bait Booster, which is thick, a lot thinner. Put it into there, and what happens is when you put it out with the frying stick or the spom like you've seen me do, it go down the water column and it start working, kicking out the two liquids. One's going to float up, pull any fish down. The other one's going to dissipate into the detritus on the bottom, and any fish on the bottom or the bottom half is going to pull those fish into that area. So there's my little tip for you. Don't ignore something like the salmon oil, mixing it with the Pro Stim Liver liquid and getting the best of both worlds, and it's worked for me. Give it a go.
Got him out. I moved swims 2 or 3 hours ago, and I moved on to a few fish. There was a few fizzing, a few fish about, and it sort of all fizzled out, and I sat there thinking maybe I've made the wrong move. And then of course Leon snored one out. He's had that 29 pounder while snoring away at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then finally my middle rod that was just tucked in under the canopy along the far side has absolutely gone into meltdown, bobbing smack the top, the rod's bouncing up and down, and we finally got one in the net. Nice common, really long, fairly spawned out. I think they must have spawned recently, but really good condition, and really pleased to have caught this one. So I've just put that fish back, and now's a good time to take a closer look at the rig. Now, it's nothing revolutionary. It's a rig I've used for a number of years, and it is just so reliable, and it does exactly what I want from a rig. So it is the Ronnie rig, little Northern special pop-up, 12 miller, soaked in the halo liquid that just leaks off and just draws the fish into the hook bait to make it the most attractive item in the swim. A fairly short, stiff boom, semi-stiff boom, so it just kicks out and just kicks it away from the lead, and even if a fish picks it up and spits it out, it's always going to reset itself. So that's the rig, and I suppose I better talk a little bit about the baiting approach. Now, I fished a little bit different to Leon this trip. He's just fishing just straight boilie, and he's caught one not long ago, which is fair play to him. So he's had that sort of upper 20, I think it was 29 pound. But my baiting approach has been very different to him this trip. This fish that I've just caught has come just under the canopy on the far margin. I've bait boated a little bit of bait out there, and in that I've just put a few handfuls of sweet corn, some Pro Stim Liver boilies which I'd had soaked in the matching liquid for, it's been probably soaking for a few weeks actually from my last trip. Just a little sprinkle of hemp in it as well, not too much, just a few sort of big handfuls. It's quite shallow under the tree, so I just wanted just a little patch of bait with the hook bait in the middle, which was just enough for a fish to come in, a few mouthfuls, pick up the hook bait, and bang, he was nailed. So let's get the rig back out, get a little bit of bait in, and try and catch another fish.
Well, as we go into the evening, I thought I'd give you a little evening update. That's great news. Me and Kev have managed to pull it out the bag and we've both had a nice fish. Rain's just about to come in and it's going to rain for most of the evening, most of the night. It's going to be nasty. I've got the left-hand rod back out. I left it a long time before I thought I might have a chance of just nicking that extra bite. But I've got it back out there. I haven't put any more bait out there at all, because I'm very evident that it took a long time for me to get that bite. So I'm looking to try and nick a bite quicker in the morning before we have to go. So fingers crossed, hopefully we'll see you in the middle of the night. If not, we'll see you in the morning. And hopefully I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to catch one or two more.
Having had that fish yesterday afternoon, I went into the evening stroke night time feeling fairly confident for another bite. You know, I got the trap set, I actually put two across under the trees last night, one just under the canopy where I had the fish yesterday afternoon, and further around to the right there's a little cove, and I just tucked one into there with the bait boat as well, and I left one just off the tree down the left hand margin. So I was fairly confident going into the night, and we had the mother of all storms that descended upon us about 7 o'clock yesterday evening. It absolutely ripped it down. We had thunder, lightning, really moody, actually really carpy conditions to be fair. It didn't do a lot for the fishing because not a lot happened. I had a bit of an occurrence in the night. Probably 11:30 it was, middle rods just up and down, up and down. I can clearly see it wasn't a bite. You know, if you're snag fishing and your bobbin's just up and down, it just wasn't the one. And then the right hander's gone up and down, and they're both going up and down, and then I sort of realised it was a trailer, which is not what you want sort of middle of the night whilst it's raining and you're snag fishing, you know what I mean? So that was a bit annoying, but I did manage to get the rigs back out. It's not too far across there, what's that, maybe 40, 50 yards, so with the head torch I could see the snags, so I managed to get the boat out there and get both rigs dropped back in there. Quiet night, no liners, nothing else in the night, and this morning I woke up, it looked really dead first thing this morning. There was no fizzing, no signs of any activity, so decided to wind in, have a quick walk round. It is the last morning of the trip, and I just felt that there could be something happening somewhere, you know, because with the lake being how it is, you can't see much of the lake. You've got 3 different sections. So I've had a walk round this morning just to see if there was any activity anywhere to move on for a few hours, but nothing. So I've come back to my swim, I've got the rods back out. The sun's coming up now, and I've got an hour and a half left, and I'm just hoping that that might just push a couple of fish into the snags and just see if we can nick a bite. But if not, I've had a really, really good trip. You know, it's a lovely lake. You don't go to many places like this anymore. That's nice and overgrown, and almost, although it's day ticket, it does have a like real natural feel to it. And as I said, there aren't many places around that are all overgrown like this. I do feel like there are a lot more opportunities to catch carp, without a doubt. You know, another day, if we got it a bit more, you know, tactics a bit right and maybe a bit more stealthy moving on to fish, could have had a few more. But all in all, it's been a really lovely trip. Really enjoyed the lake. The bailiffs are friendly. Just love it down here, and I've got to come back at some point.
buddy. All right, what's happening? I've just gone in the net.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I
I'm
have,
not
honestly.
having it.
Last knockings,
No.
packed up my gear, I've got one.
I'm not having it.
Yeah, telling ya.
You have it when you damn saw.
Nice one, nice compliment, mate.
That's a nice fish.
Yeah,
Does you?
nice end of the session, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm all packed up. I'm done.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
got
more or
to
less
get to
packed
work.
up and all, I am.
Oh, that's the result.
Yeah, right on the last knockings.
Okay.
Happy days.
How big did you say it was?
£30.
To the ounce, you are correct. It is £30 on the dot.
Look at that.
That is a beauty.
Look at that.
Mate, I thought you were pulling my leg when I barrowed past and you said you got one in the net. I thought you were winding me up. Did not believe you for 1 minute.
Look at that. Well, we've had an absolute brilliant trip, haven't we? Do you know, I'd like to come back and do it all over again.
Mate, I would. I think there's so many more opportunities, on here. There's been fish all over the place. I think we possibly missed a trick somewhere along the line. I know we caught a couple, but it just feels like we could have caught a few more.
I think we haven't fished it before, have we? I think floaters maybe as well, and in the edge, I think, if you fish it a few times, I think you catch quite a few.
Yeah,
but it's a lovely place. Looking forward to coming back, and
I love
I've
it, mate.
enjoyed your social company.
Yeah, and you.
And it's been great, hasn't it?
Lovely. And what a way to end the trip.
Happy days. Days. Nice. Happy days, mate.